management. Just wait. Message to the remaining students. Very less attendance today because this attendance report is going to be sent to principal. So see to that first 2 hours there should be only few absentees. Okay. Then we have discussed about what is management system. In any organization, they used to create a process map. What is a process map? How it look like? How it is convenient to the workers who are working under the organization? How it is informative? All those things we have covered last class. Then we went for the topic process improvement. Even though we have framed some strategy process map, we have to have a proactive task, identifying, analyzing, and improving upon existing business process. Any drawbacks felt in those strategy have to be improved in the process improvement stage. Ongoing practices have to be focused on. So in implementing successfully, the result can be, we have covered with the, it will lead to the product quality, customer will be satisfied, our company will be a loyalty for the customer, then increase the productivity, all those details we have discussed. Then few BPM software tool, software products like business process management tools we have covered. KISS flow like that we have seen some examples related with this software products to do some automated process within the organization to improve the project. Then who are the two persons? Process manager and executive, who regularly analyze and identify the automating process, and within the process by looking at process completion time. All those things are being keenly noted by these two persons who are allotted for that process improvement. Then we have discussed about specifications. What is the real product requirements? The other name is engineering characteristics. It consists of two information, metrics and value. What is the difference between metrics and value? We have seen. And as you are following the concept development process, which is acting as a front-end process, we have to know that flow and to which part we are discussing each and every time. Just wait, students, I'll admit this too. Then, after identifying the customer need, we focus on establishing the target requirements. For that, establishing the target requirements, first we have to understand the concept of specifications. In the specification, what are the things we have to keep in mind? How to frame a metric, how to frame a value for any product. What is product design specification? It is nothing but a documented statement, and we say it is a living document because we can be edited and updated according to the customer need, which was frequently communicating with them. It's fully focused on customer needs. When are the specification established? After identifying the customer need, the hope and aspirations of the team fully depends on the specifications what we are framing for the project. It has some constraints to be followed for any technology we are going to inbuild with the product. Now today we will go for in-depth understanding about establishing the target specification. And you have to remember in which stage we have to understand this concept. After identifying the customer need, after getting the document information, after specifying the metrics and values with respectful of the customer need, this establishing target requirement is framed. This process is involved. Okay, you have to know the difference between establishing the target requirements after the stage of customer need and finalizing it after selecting the concept only. Just wait. So target specifications. First we have to understand what is target specification. The target specification fully deals with customer needs established after the customer needs have been identified, but before the product concept have been generated and most promising one selected. Then after target specifications we have framed only, we can analyze with whether the concept will be moving to the next stage, this can be proceeded or not. All those things will be finalized. So this process of establishing the target specification consists of 4 important steps. Very simple. How to frame the target specification, how to establish the target specification. So first you have to go on focusing on prepare the list of metrics. From the document framed with the discussion with the customer, the needs are identified. Now we have to frame as a list of metrics. I'll give an example, show you an example for any of a product at the end of the session. First, remember the 4 steps, very simple. As we are dealing with target specifications, and the site headings also will be covering related with that only. So you have to prepare the list of metrics. After preparing the list of metrics, we have to focus on collect competitive benchmarking information. Why we have to undergo this step? Because it is an ongoing activity. Okay, it's an ongoing activity. Just wait. Sorry, students. Okay. So, which was the topic we were now discussing? The list of 4 steps, right? So, prepare the list of metrics, collect the competitive benchmarking information, set ideal and marginal acceptable target values. Then, as usual, last step will be reflect on the result and the process. Are you all getting me? Please reply.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, fine. So under establishing target specification, what are the side headings you have to remember? Very simple, relate with the topic, main topic. First, we have to focus on preparing the list of metrics. Then we have to always do some ongoing activity, right? We have to compare with the competitive benchmarking product. Then only we can somehow match their product. Somehow now அவங்க already standardized தான். Competitive benchmarking products will be already standardized. They would have got frame the specification with many experiments. So it is better for them for us to compare those competitive products. So we have to collect those information regarding the competitive products, and we have to frame it as a benchmark for our information. Then we have to focus on setting the ideal and marginal acceptable target value. What do you mean by ideal and marginal acceptable? There are two types of values we have to frame. So those details we are going to discuss in this step. Last, as usual, after collecting the information, after comparing with the competitive products, after framing the metrics table with ideal and marginal acceptable value, we have to go for many experiment. We have to check with many values for each and every parts available in the product have to be tested. Then at last we can give some result after establishing the target specification. So step 1, how to prepare the list of metrics. Just wait, student. How to prepare the list of metrics. Okay. So how to prepare the list of metrics? Very simple. The most useful metrics are those that reflects directly as possible the degree to which the products satisfy the customer need. As we have to always compare with the customer needs, framing the list of metrics also of any product have to be satisfied with the customer needs. So a tabular column have to be framed where you have to compare with the customer need, the metric you have formed, and the values you have framed for according it. So relationship between the needs and metrics is a central to the entire concept of specifications. When we go for further step like product concept generation, selections, and testing, this particular need and metrics plays a very important thing which shows the relationship between these things to frame for the concept for the specification. So what is this line denote? It's a good way to generate the list of metrics into contemplate means look thoughtfully for a long time at. Whenever we focus on needs and metrics, we'll focus on good product quality. So to consider what precise, accurate, measurable characteristic of the product, we have to frame the metric in a perfect way. Product satisfies that need. As we are comparing with the customer need and the metric value, metric we are framing for the product, automatically it will focus for the quality and satisfy the customer need too. So in the ideal case, the one and only one metric for each need. For example, I'll show an example tabular column where they have, okay, we'll go for first the tabular column. One idea about it. Prepare the list of metrics for Apple product. Some example I'll show. This is products available. Okay, first I'll give how to frame the list of metrics. How it has been classified. Here needs also will be compared. So this is one example for how to prepare a list of metrics. If the product for you is, just wait. So here on example, this product name is mountain bikes. So we have to frame for this the list of metrics. So what do you have to focus on? First, you have to understand what does specification mean. For example, you have to now focus on a particular component or part to know some metrics related with suspension. Okay, the product name is mountain bike. So what are the metrics you have to consider? This is called as metric, the statement. It have to reduce the vibrations to hands. This are framed with respectful of the customer need. Customer, after discussion, they would have given this list. So this is acting as the specifications given by the customer need. Reduce the vibrations to hands, easy handling of difficult terrain, then high speed on bumpy trails, rigid in high cornering. Pride means the special about this product. Okay. Every BMW specialization is there. When you buy that product, that car, you are worthing that pride. Similarly, the customer need is one of these. The product they are designing and giving for us, the company designing and giving for the customer, when it is satisfying all the needs, then it is a pride for them. So easy maintenance should be, last long time, safe in crash. So these are the specifications given by the customer. Suspension fork is the language of the customer, the particular information need, and it is identified with this matrix. Next, they have classified these needs. The main focus is what is the customer needs statement here? Suspension. Focus on mountain bike product, that particular product, suspension, and the metric what are the needs asked by the customer. It should reduce the vibration to the handle, how important they are giving for that particular need. They have rated here. This is the customer needs versus product specification. Are you all following me, students? Please reply yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this is how we have to focus on preparing the list of metrics for any product. Next, technical and product specifications for each and every product. We have to note down, right? So it consists of metrics and values, two terms. Whenever you go for specifications, form of values, it can be in a number representation or range or equality with appropriate units, which we say values. And already we have discussed what is metric means. The average time to assemble acts as a matrix here. So when to establish this specification, in which stage, that only we are covering. After identifying the customer need, the team set target specification, revision of specifications to set the final specification. So under the establishing target specifications only, we are collecting the details for the specification. We are comparing with the customer needs. We are framing the list of metrics. So prepare list of metrics, metric numbers, need numbers. Okay, customer needs. Metrics in the form of sentence, rating the importance of each and every metrics. Represented in values is here unit. This shows the list of metrics for suspensions. The customer needs statement is suspension. They are focusing on this particular technology. This product technology to be used, suspension part. These metrics have to be noted, and it is we are forming the list of metrics here. Needs and metrics in a matrix form. What are the customer needs? They are highlighted in this row. What are the metrics related with that need? How to form a metric related with the need of a customer. So reduce vibration to the hand. It is telling about attenuations from dropout to the handlebar at 10 Hz. This particular specifications, technology, concept, functionality relate with this need. So the company people identify this metric. They form a metric related with the customer need. Okay, in a technical term, metrics எப்பவுமே technical terms la இருக்கும். Okay, this is a normal understanding way the customer has given the statement. Customer needs statement இது for a particular suspension part. One metric, one need. That only the point we have discussed here. When you are focusing on preparing the list of metrics, we have to keep one thing in mind. For one and only one metric for each need. Okay. For each need, only one metric have to be linked. The rows of the matrix correspond to the customer need. The column of the matrix correspond to the metrics. Very simple, right? That only example I have shown you now. So a mark in a cell of the matrix means that the need and the metrics associated with the cells are related. Example. Here they are pointing. So when we focus on this technical term, technical specification, it matches with this need. So they are mapping it. Okay. And very important thing you have to note down, only one and one metric for each need. Okay, a few guidelines should be considered when constructing the list of metrics. So for framing this list of metrics, for preparing this list of metrics, we have to follow some guidelines. We'll focus on those things. Try to understand, students, we are under establishing the target specification. In that 4 steps are there. Step 1 consists of preparing the list of matters. Then we are comparing with the competitive products, competitive benchmark information, then set ideal, and in that for preparing the list of metrics, we have to follow some guidelines. So the tabular column what I have displayed you, when you are going to focus on the technical specification with respect to the customer needs, we have to follow this guidelines. Then only we can prepare a perfect list of metrics for any product. Just wait. Okay. Here if you see, under preparing the list of metrics, the guidelines to be followed. Metrics should be complete. It should not be vague. Everything should be complete. Metrics should be dependent and not independent variable. That only one need should be pointing to one metric. So it should be dependent, not independent. Customer needs சம்பந்தமே இல்லாம ஒரு மெட்ரிக் அங்க நம்ம டிஸ்ப்ளே பண்ண கூடாது. So you have to follow this guidelines. Metrics should be practical metrics. Applicable இருக்கணும். Okay, you have to prove whatever metrics we are matching with the need. It should be provable, observable, analyzable property. Very simple. Metrics should be complete, meaning each customer needs should correspond to the single metric, as we have already discussed in that preparing the list of metrics. The value of that metric should correlate perfectly with the satisfaction of the need. So it should be in a complete form. Metric should be dependent, not independent variable. Very simple. Customer need, we are focusing on each metric. So specifications also indicate what the product must do, but not how the specifications will be achieved. It should be dependent on the customer need. Metric should be practical metric. Directly observable and analysis property of the product that can be easily evaluated by the team. Next, some needs cannot easily be translated into quantifiable metrics. Meaning is, as I have already shown you some specifications here. Customer focus on for the subject of interpretations at suspension and the ஒரு particular technique use பண்றதுக்கு and the particular functionality க்கு the customer needs statements are it should reduce the vibration to hand, all those things. In that one point we have seen the product focusing on these needs will give a pride for the customer. So whoever is handling that product like Mountain Dew, they are a prided person. So it is apart from the quantifiable metrics. I hope you are able to get the point. So some needs, whatever is mentioned in the tabular column of preparing the list of metrics, will focus on the pride. So the need that suspension instill pride may be quite critical to success in the fashion conscious mountain bike market. But how can pride be quantified? Okay, so it is also the preparation of list of metrics you form should satisfy the pride of the customer. So in this case, the team simply repeats the need statement as a specification and note that the metric is a subjective and would be evaluated by a panel of customers. Okay, after framing that, after following these guidelines, after framing the list of metrics, it will be proposed to the customer, and the customer will be satisfied when all the needs are matched with the metrics. So the metric should include the popular criteria for comparing in the marketplace. So இப்போ ஒரு ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபோன்ஸ் வாங்குறீங்கன்னா normally you go for a net searching, you compare with the existing product, competitive products with the new product what you are going to buy. Obviously this will happen to all the customer. So the list of metrics what you are going to prepare have to follow this particular guidelines. So that metric is to be displayed in some magazines or net facilities, websites, popular criteria for comparison. So many customers in various markets buy products based on the independently published evaluations. What do you mean by published evaluations? Evaluations can be found by Popular Science, any of the magazines, customer reports. They can compare with the customer reports of the competitive products on various internet sites. So bicycling and mountain bike magazines. Normally each and every product, when they are promoting to the environment, they will focus on a particular magazine, right? இப்போ automobile அதுக்குன்னு தனி magazines வந்து is there. Okay, to know more details about that particular product. So similarly, when you focus on buying the mountain bike product, some customer will compare with the bicycling and mountain bike magazines. So when you are following some guidelines here framed, then automatically the list of metrics you are preparing will reach the market. Okay, marketplace. So if the team knows that its product will be evaluated by the trade media and knows what the evaluation criteria will be, then it should include metrics corresponding to these criteria. So you have to follow these 5 guidelines to frame or to prepare the list of metrics. Any doubt you have, students? Please reply. Yes or no? Okay. Next step, as from the term itself can understand, we are going to collect the competitive benchmarking information. So for your mountain bike product, what are the benchmark chart? What are the competitive products you have to compare? So the value of metrics will be framed for that competitive products, already available existing product. We enter down in a column. Okay. And we gather these data can be very time consuming. So whenever we compare with the competitive products, then it is easy for us to purchase, test, disassembling and estimation the production cost for our own product. So this is one of the steps to be followed for establishing the target specification. So however, this investment of time, so time spent for comparing the competitive products, gathering the data for the competitive products to the current product what you are comparing of. So it results in purchasing the same component, standard component for your product. Testing methodology used for that company can also be followed in your company so that you maintain some standard. Disassembling, suppose any integrated products or like இப்போ சஸ்பென்ஷன்ஸுக்கு ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் இன்சைட் அ மவுண்டன் பைக், அது மாதிரி நிறைய பார்ட்ஸ் நீங்கள் இன்டெகிரேட் பண்ணணும்னா அதை டிஸ்அசம்பிளிங் மெத்தட் என்ன அவங்க காம்படிட்டிவ் பெஞ்ச் மார்க் ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணுறாங்களோ தட் ஐடியா ஆல் யூ கேன் கலெக்ட். Then establishing the production cost. Thereby you can frame the production cost for your product. So most important competitive products are those data are collected, framed as a column. Then we focus on to prepare the metrics and comparison for our product. So no product development team can expect to succeed without having this type of information. So any product in this day-to-day life they are creating, they will surely compare with the competitive benchmark product. They will get the value of the metrics of that particular existing product, form a tabular column, then focus on purchasing, testing, reassembling and establishing the production cost for that product. So this only they tell. Then only they will spend time for investing their own new product. So these are the steps involved for establishing the target specifications. Next, very simple. Step 3. Set ideal and marginal acceptable target value. As you all know, each and every specification consists of two terms, metrics and values. In that, how to collect the data. What does ideal? A target value consists of two parts, ideal value and marginally acceptable target value. So what are they? The ideal value is said to be the best result the team could hope for. Example here. Yes. So they have collected, this is called as collect the benchmark information. You're going to buy mountain bike product, that particular product which is used for mountain riding. Okay. So those customer you have to satisfy. So you working for that mountain bike in that company, you compare with the competitive benchmark informations, right? In that case, get the information of the metrics. First, whatever you have prepared for the list of metrics, those have to be listed in a column. Then collect data from the competitive products. These are the competitive products. ST, TITRAC, Manirate2, Reutax. These are the company products. We are comparing their values with the existing, with the current product. Okay. These are the current product value we match with the competitive products. So for framing our own target specification, we have to do the step 2. Next, this competitive benchmarking, identify which can give the best standard parts metrics for the current product with the most stars. So they give a rating for this particular customer needs. The customer needs are listed here. They compare with the competitive products. For example, a particular need, if you consider reduce the vibration to the hands, when compared to these many companies which is having highest rate are identified, and those specifications are followed for this particular needs. Like this, each and every needs are analyzed with the competitive products which is having more rating. Those specifications are taken for the current products. Able to understand? Please reply. Allow sensitive adjustment for this customer need. The customer need rating given is 3. Okay, which is giving the most here. Those things are considered for applying for the current mountain bike. It's easy to install, which is having the highest rate, we compare. So when we have an overall idea about the competitive benchmark products specifications, then it is easy for us to frame for our current product. Any doubt in this slide? Please reply.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So here, when you focus on step 3, set ideal and acceptable value. Ideal value is the best result the team could hope for, we have told, right? 5 ways in stating specifications. How to set this ideal and acceptable value. First, understand what is ideal value, what is acceptable value. The best result the team could hope for giving a standard product, they follow this ideal value. Acceptable value is nothing but a value that would just barely make the product commercial. What do you mean by commercially? In the way that concerned with buying and selling, making a profit. ஒரு ப்ராஃபிட்டுக்கு ஒரு அளவு அச்சீவ் பண்ண போதும்னா we can follow this acceptable value. When you give a standard product, then you can go for ideal value to be followed. Okay. So ideal value gives the best result that the team could hope for. Best quality product can be focused when we follow this ideal value. Marginal acceptable value somewhat satisfy the marketplace. Okay, in the way that concerned with buying and selling, making a profit, we go for marginal acceptable value. So both these targets, ideal value and marginal acceptable value, is guiding the subsequent stages of concept generation and concept selection. So we have to focus in such a way we are giving a perfect ideal value and perfect marginal acceptable value. The list of metrics we prepared. So where this leads for perfect concept generation and concept selections. Because with respectful of this establishing the target specification only, the team members can select our concept, thereby it can be proceeded to the concept selection process, then testing process. Testing இருக்கும்போது values வச்சு டெஸ்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க, metrics whatever we have formed for integrating any of the product part. So this will lead to a betterment. So refining the specification after the product concept has been selected. So try to understand the difference between ideal value and marginal acceptable value. Then when you give a perfect ideal value and marginal acceptable value for the customer need and the metrics you have formed, then automatically this subsequent stage for concept generation and selections will be better. 5 ways to express the value of the metrics. As you know, values are differentiated into ideal values and marginal values. What are the steps involved for identifying the values? Values are nothing but they represent in units. So at least x, at most x, between x and y, exactly x, a set of discrete value. The specification established target for lower bound on a metric. See, there are a separate team who work for this particular process, establishing target specification. They do these analysis. They find out the value for the metrics by doing this experiment, like at least x. So specification, whatever we have established, we set as target value, which are having lower bound on metrics. Lower bound means a range of value compare பண்ணுவாங்க. But higher is still better. At least na இப்ப காம்படிட்டிவ் வேல்யூவை வந்து நம்ம ரேட்டிங் வச்சு ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணியாச்சு. அந்த வேல்யூ வந்து அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒரு அட்லீஸ்ட்னா ஹையர் இஸ் ஸ்டில் பெட்டர். அந்த லெவல் வரைக்கும் நம்ம வந்து ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணி அதை நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணா we can go for standardization. So utmost x means upper bound on a metric. Utmost smaller value better being better. You have to know general meaning of at least. See, normally நம்ம எப்ப வந்து இந்த terms யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம், not less than at the minimum. So find the value not less than at the minimum. At most nearing for the highest value, Mary. Not more than. So the value you are fixing and comparing with the current product value, it should not more than that. At most not more than that. Not less than that. At least not less than that. Between x and y. If you want to compare with the two best metric value, then establish both upper and lower bound for the value. Highest and little lowest will be considered for between process. Exactly x means to the specification, to the target or a particular value. Same thing can be followed for the current product. Exactly. Without any deviations degrading performance. Same values are followed with a competitive value, then we say extractly X values are taken for values of matrix. Next is set of discrete values. What do you mean by discrete? Something separate apart from the competitive product comparison. So these are the analysis used for framing the value for the matrix. Very simple, at least X, at most X, between X and Y, exactly S, a set of discrete values. Last step, as you all know, after analyzing, after following some guidelines, after framing the list of metrics, comparing with the competitive products, framing the ideal and marginal value for a target specification. Those values are consist of ideal values and marginal acceptable values. For framing that ideal and marginal acceptable value, we have to follow some ways. Find out at least X, at most X, between X and Y, exactly X. Then what do you mean by refining? The team may require some iterations. Repeatedly, சில steps நம்ம பண்ணதான் we can find the perfect specification value for any needs of a customer. That is called as iterations. Repeatedly, the process is taken to find out the specific value. Resultant process. So reflections after each iteration helps to ensure that the result are consistent with the goal of the project. So what are the questions you have to raise when you go for the step 4? Are members of the team gaming? What is the meaning of this? As there are lot of steps involved for preparing establishing the target specification. Each and every team members are involved for preparing a list of metrics. There will be a team or for analyzing the competitive benchmarking information. In the over team will be playing for each and every step. Able to understand? So what do you mean by are members of the team gaming? If any of the particular steps have become fault, that can be found out in this last step. So any mistake have been done in identifying the list of metrics or comparing with the competitive products or not done properly by the team members. Some game they have played any of the game. அதுதான் வந்து indirectா சொல்றாங்க. That can be found in the step 4. So that can be rectified. Okay, for the further any product development or any specification missing. In the last step only, you can identify anything mentioned by the customer need is left out to match with the metric. Those things are analyzed here in this step 4. Do the specification reflect the characteristic that will dictate commercial success? The finalized list of metrics we have formed, whether it will surely reach the market. So this will be decided in this step 4. Able to understand, students? Please reply. Step 4 is simple only. Just testing whether the team worked properly in each and every step involved in establishing the target specification or any specification left out in any stages. Okay, those things are identified in the step 4. Do really the target specification established in this step will focus in achieving the commercial success or not, or tested? So after more iterations performed, they will answer the questions whatever is framed here. If there is all the members are fully involved in preparing the list compared with the competitive products, then perfectly framed the ideal and marginally acceptable values. After testing in many cases, at least X, at most X, between X and Y, exactly X process. Then after answering these questions with the customer, then we can finalize the, not finalize, just we frame the target specification for the product. Any doubt in step 4, students? Please reply.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Next, the last, setting the final specification. Most of the informations are gathered in the establishing target specification itself. Everything is mostly completed. So what we will do then in setting the final specification, and you have to understand where will this process happen. As you all know the flow. in this stage. Refine requirements. In this only we set the final specification. Setting the final specification at the team, finalize the choice of a concept. Why we are telling that point? Because the setting the final specification occur only after the concept has been selected. So after establishing the target specification, then that concept along with that specification is moved to the generation part. After generating those concept, a particular concept will be selected, then it will move to the testing part, then we'll move to the setting the final specification. So the finalized choice of concept and prepared by subsequent design and development, the specifications are revised. At last, we will finalize the specification after the concept has been selected. Specification that originally were only target, okay, target na with respectful of the company's specification technology and comparing with the customer need, they would have framed that target specification. So specification that originally were only targets expressed as broad range of values, redefined and made more precise in this stage, setting the final specification. இது ரொம்ப elaborate இருக்காது. So finalizing the specification, because after concept has been selected, now we have to communicate with the customer. Customer have to see the target specification framed in that stage after concept has selected. Now in some few metrics and values we have to talk with the customer. We have analyzed only the particular value can be followed for this parts. And the mari stages la in the இடத்துல நடக்கும். They will communicate with the customer, compromise with the customer with the target specification statement. So relationship between two specifications that are inherent in the selected product concept. So trade-off frequently occur between which people will deal with this information in setting the final specification. It is difficult. It is different from technical performance metrics. Almost always occur between technical performance metrics and cost. So after going for this stage, final specification, now we have to compromise the customer. As we have analyzed after more experiment, we have finalized with this specification. So we have to explain to the customer. So this much of cost you have to afford to us to make this product. So those deals will be done only in the setting the final specification. So we propose a 5-step process under setting the final specification. Every establishing target specification, we follow some 4 steps. Similarly, for setting the final specification, we follow some 5 steps. Very simple. Develop technical model of the product. In this stage, we form a technical model. We create a technical model for the product. Develop the cost model of the product. Cost model na each and every part involved inside the product, integrated products, those cost details will be identified. Refine the specifications, making trade-off where necessary. Finalized specifications have to be talked with the customer, compromise them, and say that their needs all will be satisfied here. Slow down the specifications as appropriate. Till establishing target specification, we are just collecting the data, we are framing the values and metrics. But in this case, the flow down the specification is appropriate. Specific idu vandu frame pannirணும், finalize pannirணும். Refine the result and process. Reflects the results and process. Only after finalizing, then this result will be followed to the upcoming development team to proceed in developing the product. Very simple. Develop technical model of the product. A tool will be used for predicting the value of the metrics we have framed in establishing the target specification. That particular set of design decisions will be made in this step 1. Very simple only. Analytical, perfect by perhaps by implementing the model equations in the spreadsheet. Computer simulations will be done. The values whatever we have framed, we are testing with some tools in this stage. Such a model allows the team to predict rapidly what type of performance can be expected from a particular choice of design variable. Able to understand, now only we are going to inbuilt inside a product parts, test that product running. For example, if a customer need வந்து suspension அந்த ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸுக்கு இவ்வளவு நீட்ஸ் நான் கொடுத்துருக்கேன், இவ்வளவு மெட்ரிக்ஸ் வேல்யூஸ் நம்ம ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணியாச்சு. Just framing only is being done in the establishing target specification process. But here they are going to implement inside a prototype and run and see the particular design with the values we are formed without closely physical experimentations. Full deal with the physical experiment இல்ல, full பார்ட்டை இல்ல. இப்போ ஒரு ஆட்டோமொபைல் ப்ராடக்ட் எடுத்துக்கிட்டா அந்த இன்ஜினை மட்டும் ரன் பண்ணி பார்க்கறது, அந்த மாதிரி செப்பரேட் பார்ட்டை மட்டும் டிசைனிங் வேரியபிள்ஸ் மட்டும் கன்சிடர் பண்ணி டெஸ்ட் பண்றது தான் டெவலப்பிங் த டெஸ்ட் technical model of the product. So in most case, such analytical models are done will be available for only a small subset of the metrics. Try to understand. Mountain bike product வந்து ஒரு லார்ஜ் ப்ராடக்ட், அதில் சஸ்பென்ஷன்ஸில் கஸ்டமர் சில நீட்ஸ் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க, அதை ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணிட்டு வேல்யூஸை ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணியாச்சு, which all been done in the establishing target specification. But in the step setting the final specification, we are going to do some demo session for that particular subset, small subset of the metrics. Analytical been done. For example, the team was able to model adaptations analytically based on the engineer's knowledge of dynamic system. How you are going to implement those values and metrics to a system, adala focus பண்றது தான் step 1. The complete products are not being run, only the customer need product along with the values and metrics. We do some analytical model, make a dynamic system to work with the knowledge, engineer's knowledge. The engineering ஓட டெக்னாலஜியை இதில் இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணி ரன் பண்ணுவாங்க. Develop a cost model of the product. The goal of this particular step is to make sure that the product can be produced at the target cost. Target costனா ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டுக்கு இவ்வளோ பார்ட்ஸ் தேவைப்படுது, இவ்வளோ காம்பனன்ட்ஸ் தேவைப்படுது, இன்டகிரேஷனும் நடக்கும். ஸோ வாட் இஸ் த காஸ்ட் ஃபார் பையிங் தோஸ் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் பார்ட்ஸ்? So those things are finalized in the setting of final specifications to make sure that the product can be produced at the target cost. So this can be cost framed for this product அப்படின்னு நம்ம finalize பண்ணுறோம். So this lead to manufacturing cost. As you all know, under the establishing target specification, the values and metrics are framed and tested in this stage. We have developed a technical model. When you develop like that set of subset products or parts, then we can focus on estimating the target cost. Try to understand what is target cost here. Why we have to do this step in this stage? Target cost is nothing but a maximum amount of cost that can be incurred on a product. ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் டெவலப் பண்றதுக்கு எவ்வளவு தேவைப்படும் காஸ்ட் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணணும். The firm can still earn the required profit margin from that product at a particular selling price. The target costing decompose the target cost from product level to component level. ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் சொல்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு காம்பனண்ட், நிறைய மல்டிபிள் காம்பனண்ட் இருந்தால் தான் ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டை டெவலப் பண்ண முடியும். ஸோ வாட் இஸ் அவர் டார்கெட் காஸ்ட் ஃபார் தட் ப்ராடக்ட் will be finalized in this step. The target cost is a manufacturing cost. ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டை செய்யறதுக்கு what are the components needed, அதுக்கு எவ்வளவு காஸ்ட் ஆகும், எவ்வளவு ஸ்டாண்டர்டைசேஷன் கொடுத்தா அந்த காஸ்ட்டை இதுக்கு போடலாம். ஓகே, ஸ்டாண்டர்டைஸ் பார்ட்ஸை யூஸ் பண்ணாதான் நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு குவாலிட்டி ப்ராடக்ட் கிடைக்கும். ஸோ டார்கெட் காஸ்ட் is the manufacturing cost at which the company and its distribution partner can make acquired profit while still offering the product to end customer at a competitive price. ஒரு ப்ரைஸை ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணுறோம் ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டுக்குன்னா based on the component we are using, and with respectful of comparing with the competitive price, we can frame that cost model price for our product. So those things are involved for developing a cost model of the product. most of the product if you see they're drafting a bill of materials. கண்டிப்பா ஒரு காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் நீங்க செய்றீங்கன்னா நிறைய பார்ட்ஸ் தேவைப்படுது, நிறைய ஃபேப்ரிகேஷன் தேவைப்படும். ஸோ ஃபேப்ரிகேஷனுக்கு தனி காஸ்ட் நம்ம அப்ளை பண்ணணும், இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். Then estimate generally focus on cost of components you are using for building that product. What are the overhead product? ஏதாவது எக்ஸ்ட்ரா காம்பனன்ட்ஸ் நம்ம போடணும், அதுக்கு சம் ஓவர்ஹெட் காஸ்ட் நம்ம போடணும். அதெல்லாம் நம்ம லாஸ்ட் யூனிட்ல படிப்போம். How to estimate the component cost. So estimating the production cost of the component the firm will make itself. The very thing you have to understand why we have to depend on this vendors and vendors, because for example if you are working in a company, you are going to build a particular product, you are taking a competitive product for building your product. I mean unga product oda components தேவைப்படுறதுக்கு you are dependent on some vendors. There are 4 vendors available. அல்ல ஒரு vendor வந்து காஸ்ட் ரொம்ப கேக்குறாங்க, நாங்க இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் பார்ட்ஸ் கொடுக்குறோம் பட் this much of cost we are cost need they are telling. Some vendors will be compromising. Okay, we are regularly giving you the parts, so we will give the cost less. So according to the vendors and the specification mentioned and metric value, we will fix the estimation for the production cost of the component the firm will make itself. So this process is often facilitated by purchasing the expert. So we have to find the expert and production engineer to fix our cost model for the product. There are many things to be kept in mind when you want to develop a cost model for the product. One thing is focus on target cost, manufacturing cost put for each component for the product, for buying a standard parts to fabricate the cost, establish the general focus on cost of components, choose the vendors, effort to develop these early cost, establish involves soliciting cost estimate from the vendors and estimate the production cost of the component the firm will make itself. So you have to purchase the experted parts, perfect standard parts and production engineer. So why these steps are involved in setting the final specification? Because under final specification only we make a process of target specification which is covering the customer need. Here only we can frame the product order cost. In this stage only we can compromise with the customer with this final specifications. So when you are going for final specification, we have to focus on buying the parts for the product. We have to estimate the cost for that product. We have to list the parts available, materials needed for developing the product. If any of the integrated parts to be used for the product, then fabrication cost we have to put. So everything in this step has been developed. There is a particular team working for this. Then after finalizing, this is a standard product, these are the fabrication costs we have to put for integrating 2 components. After identifying the vendors, after purchasing the exported products, production engineer analyze those things. After the step is over, then we go for refining the specification, making trade-off where necessary. Now we have to talk with the customer. So we have decided to finalize the specification for developing our product. This is a feasibility combinations of values we have found. These are the parts available by these vendors. Every details will be collected in this stage. We'll be talking to the customer. The products relative to the competitions they explain. A competitive map will be designed in this stage. What do you mean by competitive map? Competition mapping is nothing but visualizing tool used to analyze an organizational competitors. So when you go for compromising the customer, first you have to get these details to explain the customer. So these are our competitive products, competitors. By mapping visually using a visual tool, we have to explain this information to the customer. in this stage, step 3. Okay, step 3. So this competition mapping helpful. It's a helpful tool when companies are launching a new product or service. So business can also use it when creating a new marketing or social media strategy. It's called as competitive. See, ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் இருக்கு, you working in step 3 process. If you just imagine, if you are working in step 3 process for any of the product, you have to now explain this particular information to the customer. So you frame a competitive mapping. That competitive mapping consists of a comparison of other companies' details. Athletic footwear is your product. Okay, நீங்க promote பண்றீங்க customer கிட்ட. You want to explain the fact of the competitive products with your current product. So you compare with these competitors, tell about these are more expensive. Okay, expensive, fashion, cheap, performance. So these all the companies are giving a best performance product and more expensive too. Reebok, Nick, or the more expensive product for this athletic footwear, where the performance and comfortableness will be more and more expensive. Then again, expensive and fashion, if you see, there is a particular company. See, Adidas is your company. To promote your company, you have to compare. You have to explain to the customer that we have analyzed the values of these competitive companies. We have somewhat achieved those values to our Adidas product. Like that, you have to explain to the customer. So in this stage, when you work on step 3 process, you have to frame a competitive map like this, explain to the customer to make a proper trade-off. So here, performance and cheap. Okay, somewhat better performance will be given, and when compared to more expensive company, this is something cheaper. Okay, like that you compare with these companies and you put a perceptual map, a visual picture of how customers see different competitors. Got an idea, students? Please reply. Like that, in any product you work on, when you want to go for setting final specification, we have to follow these steps. Develop the technical model of the product, develop the cost model of the product here. Then in refining the specification, making trade-off where necessary, where you have to talk with the customer, you have to frame this competitive map. And last step before step is flow down the specification as appropriate. Appropriate means till now some approximations are there. Here we go for appropriate values. Result: highly complex product consisting of multiple subsystem. As you all know, ஒரு giant ஒரு wheel ஏதாவது automations கம்பெனிக்கு மைனிங் ப்ராசஸ்லாம் பார்த்தா பெரிய ப்ராடக்ட் நம்ம கிரியேட் பண்ணணும் இல்லையா? மைனிங்க்கு ஒரு பெரிய மிஷின்ஸ். ஸோ ஹை காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் ப்ராடக்ட் கன்சிஸ்ட் ஆஃப் மல்டிபிள் சப்சிஸ்டம். So designed by multiple development teams. So there will be more teams working for that multiple subsystems. In that case, overall specification to that particular final specifications take more time. We have to analyze for each and every subsystem. Multiple development team working for that subsystem. They give some specification. We have to calculate it. We have to consider as a whole, and it's a very big challenge for us to frame this step 4 process. So the challenge in this case is the work flow down the overall specification to specifications for each subsystem when we go for this complex products. One challenge is flow down process is to ensure that subsystem specifications. I think you are able to understand when you go for complex products, there are multiple subsystem available to design the product. There are multiple team members working for that subsystem. So each and every subsystem will consist of some specification. You have to analyze, you have to test. Same step process. Okay, compare with the competitor. We have to do some trade-offs with the customer. Then only we go for finalization. Overall product specification can be framed in that case. So a second challenge we face for any complex product is certain specifications for different subsystems are equally difficult to meet. Okay. If one subsystem is specified with the target specification, some will be some vagues. So those challenge we will be facing. Some overall component specifications can be established through budget allocation. So any complex product, we have to frame a budget. We have to satisfy that budget what we have framed. So at last will come some somewhat final appropriations for that complex product. Now what is the procedure followed for establishing specification for highly complex products? Is the idea in this step 4. Step 5, as you all know, if you see any simple product or a complex product, finally you have to outcome and process those results. What questions you have to ask when you come for the stage 5? Is the product a winner? After doing more analysis, after refining the steps, after framing the cost model, technical model, every steps are over. You have to raise a question whether the product is a winner, whether this product you are going to create is going to achieve the marketplace. The product concept should allow the team to actually set the specification, whether it's a good concept, whether we have done anything innovative. All those questions will be answered for this, so that the product will meet the customer need and excel competitively, will be equally shining in a competitive products. If not, suppose after reflecting on results and process, we find that the product is not a winning product, then the team should return to the concept generation again, select the phase, append the project again. Append means you have to leave the project and go for further iterations more. எந்த ஸ்டேஜ்லேருந்து நம்ம கண்டினியூ பண்ணோம். இப்போ இந்த இடத்துல we are not achieving the product in a winner part, then we have to again go for concept generation. Meaning is already we have discussed under concept development process, the front end process. Each and every step involved after generation, after selection, at the testing part, we find the concept is not satisfying the customer need. Some metrics are not mentioned properly, some mismatch, then we have to quit that concept and we have to go for regenerating the concept again. Appdi நம்ம already இந்த points பார்த்திருக்கோம். The same thing is involved here. In step 5, to fix the final specification, set the final specification after iteration, after considering all the step 4. If we find the concept generation and selection phase is not good, some specification is not properly mentioned, or some drawbacks, then again we have to leave the project and go for concept generation again. So this is the last point. Why we have to go for the previous? Because there will be some uncertainty found in technical or cost model, some drawback they would have found, where this cannot be a successful product at the end they would have found. Technically and cost models, in order to increase confidence in meeting the specifications, some missing, so some refinements have to be done. So automatically we have to quit this project. Target market if not suit, then we have to go for other concept generation. If the team has generated a concept that is dramatically superior to the competitive products, it may wish to consider employing the concept in more demanding and potential more profitable and market segment. So the select concept in that case. If we found some drawback, we have to select the perfect concept, unique concept furthermore. Develop better technological model of some aspects of product performance for future use. It does not really understand the underlying product technology, then you have to go for concept generation again. So these are the things they analyze when they come for step 5, reflect on the result and process. If you find the product is a winner product, When actual specifications mentioned are experimentally proved, customer needs are satisfied, equally matching with the competitive products, then we say the product concept is a winner one. If not, we have to do this refinements. We have to focus on these things are the points. Engineering effort to develop better understanding and model may be useful in subsequent development project. Technology should be satisfied. Understanding of the customer needs should be fulfilled. Models like cost model, technical model should be satisfied. Then only we can say the development project is in a better way. Any doubt you have, students? Please reply. Please reply. Say yes or no. Just understand the flow. Little bit கொஞ்சம் வேகா இருக்க மாதிரி இருக்கும், but simple only. If you remember the side headings and the key points, whatever I have highlighted, then you can link the concept. Please reply. Any doubt you have?
No, ma'am.
Okay, enough. So we have completed unit 1 today. That's why I have taken a lot of time, and you were also patiently listening. Thank you. Just revise the sessions. Today itself, complete the task. Establishing, setting the final specification.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.